Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take stacks of data, deep research, and turn it all into the knowledge you need to be, well, truly well-informed.
And this time, you came to us with a really specialized request.
A very specific one. It's centered around a phrase that, you hear a lot in certain online circles. It's really taken on a life of its own. Demon time.
Right, and if you're like most people, you've probably heard demon time and thought it was just a general mood, right? Like late night chaos or maybe some high-risk behavior.
Vibe.
Exactly. But based on the source material we dug into for you, we have to clarify something immediately. In this world, demon time isn't a mood, it's a proper noun. It's the actual name of a very intense, very focused online competition.
The Demon Time Battle League, the DTBL.
That's the one.
Okay, so let's just unpack that right away, because what we're looking at here is not just, a bunch of freestyle videos. It's a whole digital ecosystem, and it seems meticulously crafted.
It really is. A highly organized subculture of online battle rap that is, it's defining its own standards for competition.
So our mission today, for this deep dive, is to get right to the core of it. We're going to look at the DTBL's unique identity, we'll dissect their competitive format, and we have to pull apart the content from their big events.
Oh, yeah. The themed events like Terrifier Christmas and New Year's Evil.
Exactly. And, ultimately, we want to understand the vibrant and, let's be honest, often brutal online culture that really fuels this whole thing.
And this is more than just hip-hop. It's a whole package. You've got performance art, you have grassroots promotion, and a very articulated philosophy about what competitive reality even is.
It's a great example of how these digital communities are building their own high-stakes arenas that demand, it seems, authenticity and some pretty exceptional skill.
So our goal is to make sure you're well-informed, not just on what the DTBL is, but really why it matters in the evolution of online competition.
All right, so let's start at the foundation. The builders, who actually put this house of horror-themed verbal combat together. The sources are pretty clear that there's a strategic partnership at the heart of it.
Yeah, the whole thing runs on a pretty clear division of labor between two main figures. First, there's a guy named Joe Piff.
Joe Piff.
And he's described as the architect of the league's whole competitive structure. He handles the really critical stuff, the talent scouting, making sure the roster is top-notch, and the battle bookings.
Which we're going to get into later, because his matchmaking philosophy seems key to everything.
It is. He's the competitive core. And then on the other side, you have the face of the brand, the voice.
Red Pill.
That's right. Red Pill is the broadcaster. He's the channel host. He runs the live streams. He makes all the graphics packages that give the league its very distinct look. And he handles the promotion.
So Piff builds the machine, and Red Pill packages it and sells it.
That's a perfect way to put it. A marriage of structure and marketing.
But what really struck me, looking through the material, was the philosophy behind it all. It seems to create this tension with the aggressive, brutal nature of battle rap.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? On one hand, you have the savage, no-holds-barred competition.
Right.
But on the other, Red Pill explicitly says the league's goal, their community desire is, and I'm quoting here, we want help everybody.
Help everybody by having them verbally tear each other apart.
Well, the focus is on support and promo for the artists. This isn't meant to be some closed-off, winner-take-all platform. They're trying to build an ecosystem for mutual growth.
So they actively work with other leagues and media groups.
Yeah, to make sure that everybody wins. That's the phrase they use. From the graphic designers to the rappers themselves, they want everyone to get exposure.
So the foundation of Demon Time is actually community building and professionalism. That feels counterintuitive.
It is, but it's also highly effective business. They recognize that in this fragmented digital world, cooperation is key. They shout out other leagues like Guerrilla Warzone, Gates of the Garden.
Because a rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly. A thriving scene elevates their own product. This collaborative spirit is like a necessary counterweight to the intense, destructive combat we see in the battles themselves.
And speaking of philosophy, the whole brand is wrapped up in the host's name, right? This recurring Red Pill analogy.
It's not just a handle, it's foundational. The sources state directly that taking the red pill means being free from the red pill matrix to see reality.
Okay, so a pretty high concept framing device.
It absolutely sets the stage for the league's whole environment. If you're competing in DTBL, you are supposedly seeing and participating in the raw, unvarnished, authentic truth of the situation.
So that expectation of realities then plays squarely on the competitors.
Exactly. The Demon Time competition is basically built on this idea of intellectual purity. You have to see and speak the truth, no matter how harsh it is. And that, in turn, justifies the intense, raw, and often deeply personal attacks.
It's a philosophical shield for the brutality.
A perfect way to put it. Authenticity and reality are the ultimate weapons. A competitor can say the most brutal thing and justify it with, hey, I'm just speaking the truth. I'm telling you the reality of your situation.
But pure reality can be, let's face it, a little boring. So to make it entertaining, they layer it with this very distinct visual wrapper.
The horror theme.
Yes.
And it is not subtle, it's not incidental, it's what gives the Damen time concept its whole aesthetic edge.
And you just have to look at the event titles to see they are fully committed to this.
Absolutely. We're talking about huge events like Terrifier Christmas Chapter 1, which the sources actually date to December 2025, and the New Year's Evil card.
Terrifier Christmas, I mean, that sets a tone.
And they explicitly say they want to continue the Terrifier theme and focus on horror and scary shit. This thematic backdrop is vital. It keeps things interesting without, diluting the core battle rap.
The visual language, the monsters, the violence, it perfectly matches the intensity of the verbal abuse.
It's a consistent branding. You've got this high-minded philosophy of red pill reality blended with the high-impact, visceral aesthetic of horror. It carves out a very specific niche.
And it all seems to translate directly into the ring, or I guess the stream. Which brings us to how they actually decide who gets to face off.
The matchmaking.
Let's pivot to that strategy.
Yeah.
Because if your goal is reality and putting on the best show, you can't have constant blowouts. This is where Joe Piff's role is so crucial.
This is his strategic genius. He consciously puts together battles where the competitors have the same kind of style.
Okay.
And more importantly, they're in the same kind of stratosphere of skill talent-wise.
Yeah.
It's not just about finding two good rappers. It's about finding two equally matched rappers.
So the intent is to explicitly avoid a beatdown.
Yeah.
No top tier versus a low tier.
Precisely. They want closely matched, entertaining, packed battles where the tension is naturally high. It ensures competitive parity, which reinforces that whole red pill idea that every fight is a genuine test of skill.
The outcome has to be genuinely uncertain.
Otherwise, the reality is diluted. If it's a squash match, what's the point?
And sometimes these high-stakes, authentic exchanges, they just happen completely spontaneously, which gives us a perfect case study right from the sources. The impromptu freestyle battle between Joe Piff himself and a rapper named Loso.
This was the purest eruption of that Demon Time ethos. It just happened, unplanned, on the Danny Myers show. Loso was on the stream, and Joe Piff was joining.
And they were just killing time, right?
Yeah, waiting for Piff to get set up. Loso and the host were just playing clips of old freestyles. But the second Piff joined, the whole mood shifted. It became a direct challenge.
And Loso, to his credit, didn't back down, even though he admitted he only had throwaways.
Meaning, lines he'd written but decided not to use. But he still jumped in. And the core tension of that battle immediately became about the league's central rule: authenticity.
Writtens versus off the dome.
The spiritual center of battle rap itself.
Yeah.
And it erupted right there between the league owner and a top competitor.
And Joe Piff immediately weaponized it.
He went right for the jugular. Mid-battle, he accuses Loso of using pre-written lines, while claiming his own were purely off the dome, pure freestyle. He's challenging Loso's integrity.
And Piff's alleged off the dome lines were potent. We have some examples. He says, "I'm on a different time. Break your neck, leave you on a stretcher. You're not better pull out my belt and whip you like your father."
I mean, that's classic battle rap escalation. It goes from a physical threat to a deep generational personal attack. It's designed to destabilize.
And Loso fired right back, even with his throwaways. He challenged Piff's whole public persona.
A really sophisticated counter. He hits that philosophical tension head on. He says, "You hit me with a bunch of writtens. You're talking about using all these gun bars, but you represent a religion."
Oof. So he's calling out the hypocrisy.
He undermines Piff's claim to authenticity by accusing him of using writtens, and then he uses Piff's supposed religious background against the violent content of his bars. It's a perfect attack, connecting right back to that red pill demand for truth.
And the show's hosts, their reaction is the final stamp of approval.
Yep.
They just respected the effort.
Exactly. They said, "We don't really care who won or lost, we just respect the fight." It confirms that the willingness to step up and compete is the highest virtue in Demon Time.
And the audience, they made the call pretty quickly.
They did. The live commenters were clear. Comments like Joe 21 and Joe got that clear. They called Loso's effort barbecue chicken slang for an easy win.
So the league owner himself lived up to the standard he sets. That's a powerful message.
It sets the bar incredibly high. Even the organizers have to be ready to perform.
Now let's zoom out a bit to the language itself. We've already seen some specific jargon that defines the style within DTBL. It's a very technical art form.
The vocabulary is incredibly specific. You hear them talking about being a bar god or a punchline king. The whole focus is on tight, memorable writing and impactful delivery.
And that central debate we just saw, off the dome versus writtens.
It's everything. It determines your perceived authenticity.
And the content of the bars is also highly scrutinized. It's more than just threats.
Oh, absolutely. You hear about gun bars, but the real premium is on creative bars. The goal is prolific writing, not just a lot of it, but writing that's technical, original, and deeply layered.
And the audience is so tuned in. There's that example with a competitor named it Dirty.
Right. When he performs, the commentator immediately notes that his cadence and tone sound exactly like Chino from Goat Cheese Battle League.
Which shows how aware everyone is of influences, styles, and even potential plagiarism.
Everything is immediately put under that unforgiving red pill lens of reality. You have to be original, you have to be skilled, and you have to be authentic, or you will get called out. Instantly.
And we see that pressure applied in detail when we look at the main event cards.
This is where it all comes together.
Okay, let's get into the meat of it, the events themselves. This is where the demon time savagery is really on display. We have detailed source material from the Terrifier Christmas Chapter 1 card.
Yeah, this card was designed to set the standard for that horror-themed intensity.
So let's start with Too Complex versus a Dirty. Too Complex, and he really lives up to that name, brings this highly detailed, almost academic style of attack.
It's intellectual warfare. He uses these detailed technical critiques not just of a Dirty's rapping, but of his life choices. This is where that authenticity mandate gets truly terrifying. Too Complex goes forensic.
He used verifiable external data.
Yes. He referenced a Dirty's MMA record. He specifically looked it up, noting his professional record was 2 wins and 7 losses. And he even references Sherdog.com as his source. This is a game changer. It moves beyond creative insult into the realm of undeniable public professional failure.
That's not trash talk, it's data warfare. It validates that whole red pill reality thing in a really unsettling way. He even used science analogies.
The depth is incredible. He said, heat weakens magnetism. It's a basic physics concept, and he's using it to say, I'm the heat, I'm applying pressure, and your core strength, your magnetism, is going to degrade and collapse.
So how do you even counter that? A Dirty just came back with pure aggression.
Pure, unadulterated posture. He doubles down on the demon time persona. He accuses Too Complex of plagiarism, stolen style, made it your own.
He just tried to reclaim the narrative.
Exactly. He shouts, I'm on demon time, I'm the best in the division, and then has this brilliant line where he says he's turning 2025 into 1776, like he's starting a revolution. It's a perfect clash between verifiable data and pure aggressive will.
Okay, next up. King Money versus Ryclops.
Yeah.
This felt like a battle over the perception of wealth.
It was all about status and financial reality. King Money's lines were about his superiority, using complex language, even calling himself a Slytherin snake to position himself as this cunning, elite villain.
He wants you to believe he's untouchable.
And Ryclops immediately attacks the foundation of that entire persona. He focuses heavy punchlines on King Money's name and perceived lack of actual money. It's the financial reality check.
The wordplay was masterful.
High-level concept stuff. He says things like, King is incredible, but like the Hulk, I'll smash and grab money. He calls King Money broke, suggests he needs a new cell phone.
Which is such a subtle but powerful sign of financial instability today.
And he was relentless with the pop culture references. He used Inspector Klops, Go Gadget, and most cleverly, Magneto, Master of Magnetism, to symbolize his ability to control King Money's crown.
It's King Money's self-proclaimed status versus Ryclops' brutal, poverty-focused reality check.
And the crowd has to decide which reality is truer.
The next battle, Hermetic versus Demet, took a really interesting turn into technology and AI. Very contemporary.
This was the AI battle, and it hits the DTBL's red pill philosophy right where it lives. Hermetic explicitly calls Dement synthetic AI Dr. Robotnik, accusing him of using AI-generated diss tracks and being all filler.
Which is the ultimate sin in this context. If the whole ethos is reality and skill, using AI to write your bars is a total rejection of the challenge. It makes you fundamentally inauthentic.
And Hermetic connects that supposed laziness to Dement's real-world failures.
The attacks were specific and just designed to humiliate.
Absolutely. He mentions Dement's appearance, his afro, but the real sting was implying vocational failure. He says Dement was fired from every job, that he's couch surfing.
And then there was that one line.
The most savage bar in the whole set. He says Dement's mother tried to sell him for half a Milky Way and a single cigarette. It's just this relentless character assassination rooted in a perceived lack of success and self-reliance.
Proving he's all filler and needs external help, whether it's AI or that.
It's the kind of brutal, unvarnished truth that Demon Time seems to justify.
And finally, the main event for Terrifier Christmas. Teezy the Great versus the Hater. This felt like a clash of pure confidence versus pure critique.
Teezy the Great is the quintessential hyper-confident veteran. He calls himself the punchline king since EA Sports, and his material is just shockingly violent.
We have to pause on that for a second. The level of savagery is extreme. He uses imagery like being worse than a Hitler victim. Is this purely for shock, or does the DTBL community actually value that level of brutality as authentic?
It is entirely valued within the competitive frame. That red pill mandate gives them permission to be ruthless because they're supposedly just speaking the reality of their own violent potential. The shock value is part of the performance.
And the Hater's persona is different, but just as potent. He's like the intellectual arbiter of reality.
He claims to hold people accountable. He jokes, "I think I'm Mr. Belding from Saved by the Bell." Then he elevates his threat level to the metaphysical, saying, "I am literally a demon's father."
A claim of total supremacy over the entire demon time idea.
And his schemes are so elaborate. He talks about using demographic targeting and being the best editor who ensures Teezy faces every shot. It's a brilliant double reference to video editing and knowing how to attack an opponent's reputation with their own audience.
So that first card set an incredibly high bar. Let's move to the New Year's Evil card.
Yeah, they had to deliver on those high expectations, and they did, focusing on those same themes: authenticity, vulnerability, and relentless research.
First up, Contacts versus Rhyme Clops, who we saw before. This looks like nerdy complexity versus street realism.
Contacts has this incredible mix: nerd culture, intellectual depth, gangsterism. He's referencing fighting games like Tekken, sports figures like Tony Romo, and then a really obscure Sonny Bono analogy.
He's trying to prove he's smart and street.
Exactly. But Rhyme Clops immediately attacks his perceived lack of originality. He goes after him for reusing material, specifically saying he recycled that Mississippi scheme.
Another one of those cardinal sins.
If you're a bar god, you don't recycle bars. But his biggest tactic was the sustained wordplay on Contact's name, turning his own identity against him.
How did he do that?
He turned the name into insults like, "Contacts can't touch this," calling him touchy and conceited. He's basically saying Contacts can't see past his own flaws without his literal namesake, the contact lens. A perfect metaphor for a lack of self-awareness.
Next, Mo Fire versus Teezy the Great. The Punchline King returns. This looks like a history lesson.
Mo Fire positions himself as the superior veteran. He immediately calls Teezy a Rookie of the Year at bars and a square. He explicitly brings up Teezy's prior battle losses to dismiss his current fame.
But Teezy, having embraced that great moniker, he counters with just pure aggressive confidence.
He focuses on his reputation. He says his name is holding weight. He uses a classic sports analogy, Jordan Pippen, and then emphasizes his geographic identity, West Crip, Carolina nigga.
He's saying his pedigree and current status make past failures irrelevant. Okay, the third battle, Dr. Chimera versus Garnett. This one seems to have a really dark, unifying theme: drugs and addiction.
The entire exchange is saturated with it. Dr. Chimera comes out with references to Venom, a perk angle for Percocet, and a crystal scheme. He even insults Garnett's appearance, saying he's looking like Jimi Hendrix.
A barrage of chemically charged imagery.
Designed to paint Garnett as unstable and toxic. But Garnett, instead of avoiding it, he turns it right back on Chimera.
The classic turn the tables move.
He calls Chimera a junkie who loves crystal, saying the only thing he smokes is shards. And to frame Chimera's eventual defeat, he uses all these dark, violent movie references: Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Face Off, Texas Chainsaw.
So he's framing the battle as this gruesome, inevitable outcome.
It's peak demon time performance. Raw, ugly reality is the main weapon.
And finally, the main event for New Year's Evil. Diverse versus Black Zod. This is where the personal attacks reached a new level.
The intensity is immediate. Diverse goes for these incredibly specific graphic insults aimed at Zod's appearance, his family, and his past losses. He says Zod looks silly, and then he crosses a line with a line about your wife when she's trying to squirt.
Which is just pure, unadulterated disrespect. It's designed to break the opponent psychologically. Is the expectation that a competitor has to withstand that kind of attack on their family?
The expectation is absolute emotional resilience. Within the demon time framework, everything is fair game if it's perceived as truth or a way to destabilize your opponent. Zod has to prove that even his most vulnerable areas can't be exploited.
And he responds by taking the high road of self-aggrandizement.
Right, he refuses to sink to that level. Zod immediately asserts, I am your worst nightmare. Then he has this brilliant line comparing himself to radiation therapy killing cancer.
So he's saying, I might be toxic, but I'm the cure for you.
Exactly. It's a perfect demonstration of the DTBL style. One side goes for maximum psychological damage through personal flaws. The other goes for metaphorical, inescapable destruction.
Okay, so beyond the savagery of the battles, the sources give us a look at the logistical reality of actually running a league like this. It is not a passive operation.
Not at all. The organizers call it a tedious process. Piff and Red Pill have to coordinate all these moving parts. They have to get all the rounds in from the artists, meet deadlines, do all the video packages with the custom graphics, and then constantly promote the event.
And in the digital space, no-shows must be the biggest headache. How do they handle that?
They specifically highlight the need for constant, open communication. They get that real life happens, but they stress that if an artist communicates ahead of time, they won't be banned.
The unforgivable sin is silence.
Exactly. It shows they understand the unique challenges of running a decentralized online event. Professionalism is non-negotiable, even when the content is pure demonry.
Which brings us back to that community-first mandate. They know they're part of a broader battle rap community.
Yeah, they see it as collaboration, not competition. They actively shout out other leagues, Guerrilla Warzone, Royal Echelon, Trading Bars, Gates of the Garden.
So is that genuine, or is it just smart business?
I think it's both. The explicit goal is cooperation, so that everybody wins. The whole ecosystem, media groups, graphic designers, and the rappers themselves, it's a very modern, network-driven approach to growth.
But that collaboration is being pushed to its most competitive extreme with this future vision for the league.
Joe Piff's great idea, a future card-pitting battle rap, league owners versus league owners who can actually rap.
That is a massive escalation.
It is.
It's the ultimate test of the system. The competition shifts from individual rivalries to organizational dominance. If the owner of a league who claims to represent reality can't stand up to the lyrical pressure, his entire system is undermined.
It's the ultimate validation or invalidation of their own competitive philosophy. If the owners can't demonstrate the skill they demand from their rappers, the league loses all credibility.
Finally, we should just briefly touch on the context of the Red Pill channel itself. It really confirms the DTBL's place in a much wider world.
Yeah, while the DTBL is all about intense battle rap, the source material shows the Red Pill persona is a multifaceted creator. He also streams things like retro gaming plays.
Super Mario Bros. 3-in-1.
Right. And that's a crucial framing device.
It shows the DTBL isn't some isolated, dark corner of the internet.
Correct. It exists in this diverse online sphere where hyper-violent verbal combat coexists right alongside the comforting nostalgia of retro gaming. It highlights the nature of the digital creator today.
Able to switch from savage demon time to gentle nostalgia instantly.
It's the ultimate digital melting pot.
So if we step back and synthesize all of this, what's the core insight here? Demon time is so much more than a slang term or a mood. It's a carefully constructed, horror-themed digital arena.
An arena where authenticity, that red pill reality, and competitive strategy are absolutely paramount.
Built on closely matched skill levels and, as we saw, relentless personal research.
And we've learned this phenomenon is defined by a blend of highly organized events and sharp, brilliant verbal warfare, all while somehow fostering a surprisingly strong and collaborative community. You are now well informed on a rapidly growing subculture that demands absolute excellence and zero remorse from its participants.
So here's something to take with you. If the demon time philosophy is truly about seeing and speaking unvarnished reality, how does that blend of brutal, no-holds-barred, personal insults, and mandatory community support reflect the true reality of competition in the digital age.
And considering Joe Piff's proposal, should the next step for battle rap be moving beyond individual rivalries to that ultimate test of league versus league dominance, where the owners put their entire systems on the line?
It seems the only way to truly prove your reality is the best one
Right.
is to enter demon time yourself.